So you want to swim in a magical lagoon and be alone in paradise? I got you. Hi, my name is Boris and you are watching High on Low Tide, a travel channel that is dedicated to truly off the beaten track destinations. Recently, I made a couple of videos about Misool, one of the nicest remote island groups in Indonesia. But since you are here, I guess you already know what Misool is, so I just get straight to the point. In this video, I will tell you everything you need to know if you want to visit Misool. Alright, part 1, how to visit Misool, because yeah, you have a couple of options when it comes to traveling to this awesome place. First option, I guess, would be just going on a liveaboard, and yeah, this actually wasn't an option for me because those are normally quite expensive and also they focus on diving. But yeah, if this is something that is in your style and you have the budget for it, yeah, this could be a really great option. I don't really want to talk about this option in this video because yeah, once you pay up and then you board the ship, everything is taken care of. You don't really need to know anything about Misool, I guess. So yeah, there is the second option, which is going to the luxurious Misool Eco Resort, which is the only resort in the whole area. And just like with liveaboards, once you pay, they will take care of everything. So yeah, I don't really want to talk about this option either. The option that I want to talk about in this video is if you go fully independently, using the local ferry, using homestays, which aren't really homestays, but in this part of the world, in Raja Ampat, simple guest houses are called homestays, but you don't really stay with a family. Those are like bungalows built for visitors. But anyway, those are the relatively cheap accommodation options in this part of the world. And then yeah, you can use local services and all that. Going to Misool independently is actually quite easy, although it is a bit time consuming and it can be quite expensive, especially if you go totally alone. I will talk about the details later on in this video. Here I just would like to mention that the biggest expense once you are in Misool is the boat charters, because coming to Misool and then staying at one homestay and not exploring the beautiful spots, the different islands, would be a huge mistake. So yeah, if you go solo or with someone else, it might still be quite expensive. There's one more option that you could consider, is joining a small organized tour. If you are lucky, you can find some local people online who offer these kind of tours. Normally they are small group tours, 5 or 6 people, because that's an ideal number to share the costs of boat charters. I said that you need to be lucky because there is a little bit of controversy regarding these trips. I found a company on Instagram called Raja Ampat Budget Trips or Budget Trip, and it was promoted by someone with quality content on Instagram and with loads of followers. It didn't really cross my mind that there could be some problems. And honestly, my trip was amazing. It exceeded my expectations, which were already quite high because this was my second time in Misool. The thing is, since my trip, I've heard various stories about the guide who organized my trip. For example, I've heard that he started scamming people, and I've heard that he didn't pay locals for their services, but honestly I have no idea of what happened since then. But yeah, that Instagram account is not active anymore, so yeah, something has happened, that's for sure. So yeah, the thing is that there are some others. You can find local people on different platforms like Facebook or Instagram. I just want to emphasize that be careful once you choose someone to go with, because yeah, this is not like Thailand where you can see millions of reviews from real customers. Online reviews and online information is hard to come by in this part of the world. Joining an organized trip can reduce your cost because the biggest expense, as I mentioned earlier, is the boat charters, so that you can share with maybe 4 or 5 other people. So that is great. Misool is still not as cheap as other parts of Southeast Asia. So for example, by backpackers standards, Misool is still an expensive destination, but it's worth every penny. That's actually a tip of mine, that if you want to go to Misool and you want to make it as cheap as possible, try to, ask your friends, your family, go with more people, and then it will be significantly cheaper for you. Going forward in this video, I will talk about independent travel. So, how to get to Misool. The main gateway is Sorong, the capital city of Raja Ampat, so your journey will start there. Sorong is accessible by domestic flights from major Indonesian cities. Nowadays, the only option to get to Misool is the weekly ferry from Sorong. Recently, I've heard that the schedule has changed. It used to leave Sorong on Monday evenings. If you want to make sure, just contact a local person. Anyway, it's a good idea to have a reservation at a homestay. I'm going to talk about homestays later on in this video. But yeah, for exact departure times, for example, just get in touch with your homestay. For example, they can give you an updated information. But one thing is for sure, at the moment there is only one boat that goes to Misool, and it goes once a week. And the ferry journey takes about 8 hours. The ferry gets to Misool early morning the next day. And actually from Misool, the ferry continues its journey to Seram Island in Maluku, to a village called Bula, but that is a place quite difficult to reach. I know, because I have been there. I've taken the Misool ferry from Bula on Seram. But yeah, going to Sorong and starting your journey from there is much easier. So from Misool, the ferry goes back on Friday evenings now. At least that's the new info I've heard. So like altogether, you almost have like 3 full days in Misool, which is actually ideal. Of course, if you stay an extra week, you take the next ferry back, you can have an extra 7 days, altogether like 10 days. But since the costs of both charters are quite high, if you manage your time appropriately, with 3 full days, you can see basically all the best spots Misool has to offer. So in my opinion, it is much better to spend an extra week if you have more time. For example, in northern Raja Ampat, around Cree or Mansuar Islands. The ferry ticket costs 250,000 rupees for a regular bed, but try to arrange a cabin because it is much more comfortable. You can have a simple room with a bunk bed that you can share with someone, and a cabin with a fan normally costs 400,000 rupees per person. So yeah, altogether, if you are a good sleeper, the ferry ride is kind of smooth. It's not bad at all. I'd like to mention that there used to be a speed ferry that would only take, I think, 3 or 4 hours instead of 8. But during COVID times, it was cancelled. At the moment, nobody knows for sure whether it will return in the future. Yeah, we will see. All right, part 2. When to go to Misool. Whenever you can, honestly. The weather in Indonesia became quite unpredictable in recent years. I had amazing weather for a whole week in the middle of the rainy season not long ago in Maluku, for example. And just like that, you can have rain in the dry season too. Still, generally speaking, from October to April is the best time to visit Raja Ampat as a whole, so that includes Misool as well, because that's the dry season. But keep in mind that the rain isn't the only factor that you should consider, because wind is another significant thing that can affect your journey, especially your journey on boats, because wind can make big waves, and then yeah, those waves can even cancel boat trips. Still, statistically, the winter months are the best time to come to Misool. Alright, part 3, the costs. The main costs include the ferry tickets, the homestay, that also includes the food like everywhere else in Raja Ampat, and also the boat charters. There's really not much else you can spend your money on if you travel to Misool. The ferry ticket is 250,000 rupees. I already mentioned in this video that is for one way, but actually I really recommend upgrading it to a cabin, so return that's gonna be about 800,000 per person. The homestays charge a standard fee of 500,000 rupees, and yeah, that includes the 3 meals, just like everywhere else in Raja Ampat. I highly recommend staying at Yamnini Homestay because it is close to some of the biggest attractions in Misool and the location is just gorgeous. There are some other homestays called Harfat Jaya Yalepale, Yaganan, and Not Tonton. I'm not sure whether there are others, there might be some new ones. Homestays are pretty basic, like most places in other parts of Raja Ampat, but that's not why you come to Misool, so it's actually fine. Regarding the costs, expect to pay 1 million Indonesian rupiahs for the 2 nights that you can stay if you come with the ferry. A pro tip, in Indonesia, WhatsApp is king when it comes to online communication, so try to find some phone numbers online. It actually should be pretty easy. Send out some messages before your trip to make reservations at the homestays, and actually those people can also help you find updated information about departure times regarding the ferry, for example. Keep in mind that places like, for example, Yamnini Homestay has no phone signal because it's in the middle of nowhere. But the people who manage these places, they are often in villages or even in Sorong, so they will get back to you. As I mentioned earlier, chartering a boat is by far the biggest expense in Misool. The price depends on the distances and also on the duration of the trip, but yeah, generally speaking, expect to pay around or like between 2 and 3 million Indonesian rupiahs for a full day. So for 3 days it can be around 9 to 6 million rupiahs or even more if you go on bigger distances. So yeah, in 2018 I paid 5 million rupiahs for 2 full days, and actually the distances were not even that big. Plus of course I had to pay for accommodation and ferry, so in total I paid about 9 million Indonesian rupiahs, but keep in mind I was with my wife, so that is for basically 2 people. In comparison, recently I went on an organized trip. The whole package cost me 4.9 million rupiahs, so almost the same, but that included really 3 days of boat trips, going on larger distances, seeing much more than on my previous visit. So yeah, if you want to make your trip cheaper, yeah, you have to find others to share the costs with. But yes, either way, Misool is worth every penny. I would like to mention that Raja Ampat is a marine protected area, and visitors are required to pay an entrance fee for conservation purposes. There are 2 separate fees in total. It costs about 1 million rupiahs, and you get a card like this that you can use for 1 year. So normally you need to purchase one after arriving to Waisai in northern Raja Ampat. But Misool is in the south, but don't worry if you come to Misool without getting one. So if you go to this one area, the people there might ask you to purchase this card. Otherwise, if you just stay in the homestay and you go around other parts of Misool, you don't really need to get one. So yeah, there aren't really any other ways to spend your money in Misool. Maybe if you go to a village you can get some extra snacks and drinks, but I think that's about it. If you're thinking about scuba diving, I'm not sure if that's possible at the homestays. I think they are not equipped for that, but this might change in the future. Again, get in touch with one of the homestays and then they will give you updated information. Part number 4. Safety issues. As I said in a previous video, you can check it out later here or here, yeah. In remote parts of Indonesia, the biggest safety problems one can have are related to diseases that are carried by mosquitoes, such as dengue fever or malaria. So they aren't very common, but there is a risk. So basically everywhere, not only in Misool, but everywhere in Indonesia outside of touristy places. So yeah, just keep this in mind. Also, I have to mention that Raja Ampat is in Papua, and recently there were some news about different political movements. There were news about kidnappings even, but not in Raja Ampat, because yeah, honestly, Raja Ampat is very, very popular now. So this really isn't an issue over there. About safety issues, probably the weather could cause some problems like big waves on the open sea when crossing from one island to another. But yeah, normally this isn't a problem either, because yeah, the local people know what they are doing when it comes to navigating on the sea. Theft or other criminal activities are not a real problem in this part of the world. So yeah, generally speaking, Misool and the whole of Raja Ampat is a very, very safe place to visit. There is actually one more part I would like to talk about, which is the must-see spots in Misool, but I will do that in another video because I think they deserve one video on their own. So yeah, in the next video I will put together a list of places that you must see once you make it to Misool, so make sure to check it out. If you have some questions, maybe I missed something, just let me know in the comments below. I will get back to you. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it and maybe share it with your friends. That'd be a big help for me to reach more people. And also don't forget to subscribe, because in the future I'll share a lot more videos, not only about Misool, but about other parts of Raja Ampat and also about Maluku as well. It's gonna be great. So once again, thank you for your attention. Have an awesome day and see you in the next video.